right, hello Tide fans. Welcome to Tide Talk. I'm your host, Sean Taylor, here again with my buddy Jimmy. Maurice is on Zoom down in Panama City Beach. Glad to have everybody here today. Coming off of a win that we kind of expected, we're hoping for anyway. A little bit better offensively than what we thought. Jimmy, I'm gonna start with you because we've been bashing, kind of how bad the offense has played. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they're world beaters, but we did do a little bit better than I expected because I think I picked 28-17 as the score. We scored 49, so not too bad.
So we just beat our in-state rival by 3 touchdowns, right? Won our 10th game for 15 years in a row, which is an NCAA record.
That's right.
I mean, we ought to be doing cartwheels and flips in here, right? With big old smiles on our faces. And granted, the win was convincing. It was like, it wasn't as close as we all thought it was going to be. And yes, the offense looked a little better. And again, I saw some formations and some plays that I haven't seen all year. Why did we wait to the last game
to do that?
And some of those wins, those struggle wins that we had and losses, I'm like, where was this 5 games ago? Why did it take him so long?
I think I asked the same question.
So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with how well the offense played at times. I mean, they still kind of got lost there, in the second half. But we definitely kind of took control of the game in the first half on the offensive side. Yes, I'm happy for the win. We still didn't play a complete game. 12 games into the season, we still hadn't seen a complete game on both sides of the ball. But yes, extremely happy with the results. 22-point win.
Yep. Maurice?
Well, first of all, as you can tell, there's something wrong with my audio. My voice has dropped a little bit.
I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah. Well, after 3 daughters, it finally happened. I hit that stage in my life. I became a man. So
welcome to manhood.
If as bad, and I don't mean this as I think Auburn people will admit it, as bad as they are, it really wasn't that much of a surprise. I thought we played well after the first series. Still, what bothered, there's a couple of things, you're both more offensive and I'm more defensive. The technique, the overall fundamentals of tackling seems to be lost. And also, I just don't get some of these schemes. They come out in the trips and we're man, so all you got to do is run a little rub route and your guy's going to be open for about 5 or 6 yards, and which even Ashford, as bad as he is, connected on a few. But I don't know. It'll be interesting what happens in the next 7 days as far as
coordinators
goes. Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, everybody's kind of anticipating. You heard Saban come out and say, don't criticize, as much. And this is what happens when you have a winning program and you're used to winning all the time and you're 10-win, 15 years in a row and blah, 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 and welcome to criticism, etc.
Don't get me wrong. I trust the guy as head coach. There's nobody else I want to be head coach. But, I think the majority of us realize that there's a problem there. Even watching some other analysts on ESPN stating that this is not the Alabama team that we're used to seeing. It's obvious.
Yeah.
So I don't think that. Hey, look, you're a state employee. You're not beyond reproach as far as questioning. Now, I trust you to fix it. So, in which I'm sure he will. But heck, it's already common knowledge. Bill O'Brien articles have come out and said the reason he's not getting the Georgia Tech job is because he wants to return to the Patriots. Well, I didn't create that. I didn't invent that. That's
right.
What he got now. The guy is basically leaving Tuscaloosa. And that's what he wants, and that's what he wants. So,
but what we haven't heard is where Golding's going. Again, I don't know if anybody wants him. Is he going to be demoted? Is he going to stay there? Is he going to just get fired and maybe he gets picked up?
Hey, I'm not going to sit around and let you badmouth our defensive coordinator. I'm sick of this crap. Okay, I've heard that somewhere before.
But listen,
Didn't like it.
you're right in saying that we're not the only ones that recognize something, and I'm putting, the kind of emphasis on something because I don't know exactly what it is. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not in the training rooms. I'm not in the film rooms. I'm not at practices. But clearly there's something going on because everyone's talking about it. When Paul Feinbaum is basically saying, the dynasty's over, Georgia's the new Bama, that sort of thing. I mean, clearly something is going on, whether that be NIL is causing issues, whether it's player evaluation is causing issues, whether it's guys aren't being coached once they get to Bama is causing issues, whether it's scheme. There's something happening.
And speaking of scheme, how about the scheme that we had basically the entire second half where they were just lining up and getting like 10 and 12, 15 points every time they wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, they were as one-dimensional as a team could possibly be, and we never adjusted to it. It was like the same little plays. Now, granted, they ran some. I think I heard Saban quote something about Pop Warner plays that he hadn't seen since he was in high school, and Notre Dame box crowd. I mean, I get it, but still.
Well,
man, we never adjusted to anything that we're trying to. I mean, as far as them running the ball, and it was
the biggest problem. The biggest problem is Sean's listening to Feinbaum. I mean,
well, not that I'm listening. It's just the fact that other people, and I just threw Feinbaum out there because he's certainly a figure. But there are numerous other people that are questioning. Kirk Herbstreit, Reese. All those guys are making a statement.
Right.
Bama's just not the same Bama anymore. And we go back to what we've talked about for weeks now. Man, it clearly isn't because we don't have the talent.
Well, I didn't know if I felt bad the other night because of the flu or COVID or how crappy we looked in the first quarter. So I think it's the flu.
But a combination of both.
Yeah. Or a combination. But I really was sitting here watching it and going, all right, they're going to run to the left. Well, of course, we know this. Oh, well, he picked up 7 yards, so I don't guess we did. Oh, were they going to run a draw with a quarterback? I'm sure we know this. No, we
did. The back out wide and quarterback draw up the middle.
And nobody's there to
and we're not there to stop it.
So I couldn't drink, so I just started guzzling NyQuil. And it took me to another place so I wouldn't have to watch that. But I mean, it really is. I don't know what to say. I really don't. As far as Golden goes, their schemes and some of the things that he comes up with. Anytime that you see a linebacker that has to go out and let's go back to last year when I pointed out we were playing Florida down in Gainesville. Will Anderson has to split out to cover a running back. Well, now you've got a safety that has to step up and take on the run. And of course, he's going to get blown out by a 300-pound tackle. And we're still doing that. We still have linebackers going out there to cover running backs, and it's a mismatch. It's creating mismatches. And I don't understand why he can't get past this. But anyway, not that worked up about it.
Again, a lot of things that we don't have an answer to. Hopefully we'll find some answers. Bottom line, man, we went 10-2. We're going to end up 5th or 6th.
Right.
At the end of the day, we're going to be on the outside looking in. There's always a chance, yes, but we're going to end up 5th or 6th more than likely. Possibility of squeaking in there, depending on USC getting beat, TCU getting beat. But more to talk about. Let's take a quick break. So hold tight, Maurice. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
I know Beam. I used to watch cartoons and sports on their TV, and now I use their internet.
Take it from Javion Cohen, all SEC team offensive lineman.
Beam. It's the choice of champions.
Like Javion said, it is the internet choice of champions. Beam, bringing East Alabama more.
What is community? Is it a neighborhood? The businesses and homes inside it? Maybe community isn't just a place. Maybe it's a state of mind that when we care together, cheer together, we're closer to what really counts. At Beam, we're finding new ways to bring us all closer. And you'll find us right out there with you, because community is always on our mind. Beam, bringing East Alabama more.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. You know, Maurice, right there at the end, we say it all the time. Everybody talks about it. I was hearing some folks at work the other day talk about it. We're spoiled. You know, Bama is spoiled. We, as fans, we're spoiled. But you know, man, 10-2 for every other program in the country is fantastic. It just isn't for us. It's not what we're accustomed to. We're accustomed to getting ready for a playoff game. We're accustomed to competing for a national championship. That's not happening this year. I think the concern will be is if we don't make some changes, whether that be all those things that we said, what it could be, personnel, coaching, whatever. If we don't make some changes and we're in this and we're having these same conversations next year, then what? Jimmy, I mean, we said 2 weeks ago, Saban's got to take some ownership.
Yeah. Well, regarding us being spoiled, yeah, you're exactly right. But man, based on the expectations that we had for this team, and we all thought this could be one of Saban's best teams ever based on the talent. I'm not so sure we could say we're spoiled based on what we saw this year. I mean, we can see things like everybody else has. So it's been very disappointing based on, again, what we thought this team could do. Regarding what you just talked about as far as next year is concerned, man, I hope and pray we're not having these same discussions next year. At least not because we didn't make any changes.
Right.
I mean, if we make the changes and we have new offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and they're maybe adjusting to different things and we've kind of got, I mean, you know, I can get it. You know, I can maybe accept some of the flaws that we've seen, but man, I just hope we're not having that discussion next year because we kept.
If we do, then we start looking at former running backs to be our head coach.
Right.
I'm kidding. No, we don't. Anywho.
Well, listen, the thing for me, I think maybe you guys can agree or disagree. One of the most disappointing things is, yes, Jimmy, we talked about the expectation at the beginning of the year for this team. And we thought how, you know, the only really kind of question mark for us from an offensive perspective was the offensive line. You know, what were we going to do up there? We didn't, at the beginning of the year, we didn't really question our receiving core, certainly not Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Well, before the year, I'll be honest, I didn't before the year started. I mean, I thought Trayshawn Holden was going to be a pretty good receiver. I thought Ja'Cory Brooks would have gotten better over the offseason. You know, we were getting Jermaine Burton, who, you know, was a player at Georgia. Obviously, he can't be horrible. You know, we had some new faces. We kind of had some expectations for JoJo Earl, and we were getting some new faces in. This Harrell kid was all this talk and hype about him. And man, I'm so disappointed in our lack of production throwing the football to receivers. I'm not saying to running backs and tight ends, to receivers. It's unbelievable. Just the ability to stretch the field, to throw it downfield, have that 50-50. How many pass interference calls have we had against us all year where, you know, it's questionable, but it's 40 yards down the field and they call it on us because we.
Well, I'm telling you, the speed is there. We don't lack the speed. And then we can go that and take that back to O'Brien. Again, not scheming things right, not getting those guys. Now, granted, I know there's been times we've looked at them, they're not running the right routes and this and that and the other. But speed is speed. Just let him take off and do a post or whatever, a go, a double move, something with the speed, and we just never really saw that. You know, so. Well,
and then Maurice, I'm gonna bring it around to you. Man, the offensive struggles we had in the red zone as far as touchdown production. I don't mean getting points. I'm talking about touchdown production. We struggled. We struggled getting touchdowns in the red zone, especially inside the 10. Man, we never did anything different. And listen, you already used Jalen Milroe, so it's not like he can redshirt. Man, where's the package with that guy at 6'3", 225 pounds, just going downhill?
I don't know. I mean, my thing was it Bill O'Brien's lack of creativity, or was it Saban saying, no, we want to keep Bryce in there to, help him, be a repeat as a Heisman Award winner? I know that's a individual award, and that's probably, but when you have that much talent around, it's like, well, let's let him, maybe pad his stats, keep him in there. But I don't know. That's just a guess. I think there's a lot of, like you said, you're in the red zone. Of course, the field is shorter, so now you're compressed on your routes, and then, so you have to be a lot more creative, and some rubs and so forth, crossing routes. Really didn't see a whole lot of that this year, and again, it goes back to creativity with the one that's calling the plays, and that's Bill O'Brien. So I'm sorry, it just wasn't there.
Yeah, there was a lack thereof of creativity. I mean, again, man, when it would have been different for me if throughout the season we were having a lot of production inside the red zone, inside the 10, and we were scoring touchdowns, and we were keeping Bryce Young in there to help with his statistics or what have you. But that wasn't happening. We weren't seeing that. And so then me as a former offensive guy, I mean, let's figure out ways to get in the end zone.
I still think
utilize some personnel that we have, and let's figure out ways to get in the end zone. And we never did it.
I still think there's something wrong with his shoulder, because even on his long ball the other night, he had to take a couple of steps to get some velocity behind it to get it downfield. I just think that there might be some, but I don't think permanent damage. I just don't think it's completely healed. He doesn't have the same zip on the ball as he did prior to Arkansas.
Hey, speaking of packages, how about Robbie Orts? Or is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
Where's that guy been?
Yeah.
Where's he been all year? Hey, man, he's a beast.
Well, and again,
he got decent hands too.
And
So we throw it to him in the last game of the season.
But the thought for me when we were doing that Saturday with this kid is, why is it him? I mean,
right?
Why are we not getting that ball to a Harrell or to Jahmyr Gibbs, or why are we getting it to him? Now, granted, yes, he caught the ball well, and he picked up some positive yards and had some good plays. But if he's able to pick up that much yardage, what was Gibbs or Harrell or something like that able to do? I don't know. I just, again, just the questions with respect to that will just boggle my mind until something different happens. Clearly, we're going to find out soon.
Well, I truly expect, and I know we got another segment part we're going to talk about there. We might be talking about this, but based on some of the quotes we've seen, I'll be completely shocked if O'Brien's still around. But I mean, there hadn't been any talk on the defensive side.
Yeah.
And that's scary to think that guy's going to come back next year.
That guy. Again, I'm not going to sit here and let you badmouth our defensive coordinator.
I can do it since you're down there and I'm in the studio.
All right, I'm back.
Well, there's I think there'll be some changes, whether that's, Saban made the statement that he can veto any play call, offense or defense, whether that's him making, being involved more or what, but clearly a lot's going to have to take place. Bryce Young won't be there. We got to determine some replacements and positions and that sort of thing. So much to discuss, so much to talk about.
By the way, we're losing a
Ton. Oh yeah,
we're losing a ton.
yeah. We're gonna lose some in the portal. We're gonna lose some juniors that are gonna leave early. We're losing several
A
seniors.
lot of seniors are graduating.
But let's break real quick. Hold your seats, Tide fans. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
I know Beam. I used to watch cartoons and sports on their TV, and now I use their internet.
Take it from Javion Cohen, all SEC team offensive lineman.
Beam, it's the choice of champions.
Like Javion said, it is the internet choice of champions. Beam, bringing East Alabama more.
What is community? Is it a neighborhood? The businesses and homes inside it? Maybe community isn't just a place. Maybe it's a state of mind that when we care together, cheer together, we're closer to what really counts. At Beam, we're finding new ways to bring us all closer. And you'll find us right out there with you, because community is always on our mind. Beam, bringing East Alabama more.
All right, Tide fans, welcome back. Yes, Maurice, this last segment, so many ifs. What if? What bowl are we going to go to? I think if we get into the playoffs, of course, Anderson and Bryce Young will play. But if we don't get into the playoffs, are they going to opt out? It's a lot of ifs, a lot. We've already seen some guys enter the transfer portal already taking place. And I'm with you, Maurice. See you bye.
Don't let the door hit you.
Yeah.
With Lord split you.
See you bye. If you don't want to compete and earn yourself a spot, then have at it.
Right.
But there's a lot of questions left unanswered. There's a lot of things I think we'll find out over the next few weeks. What are your thoughts, Maurice, on, again, heck, it's hard to say because we don't know what is going to happen with respect to a bowl game if we get a playoff chance. But what are your thoughts with Anderson and Young, staying and playing and opting in or out?
Sounds like a law firm, Anderson and Young. First, I'm not ready to say that we're not in yet because I really think it's possible that TCU and USC lose this weekend. Second, I can guarantee you, whoever the other teams are in the playoffs, they do not want Alabama in there.
Agreed.
I mean, Georgia fan can say, we'll play you again. I'm sure you would, but you would rather us not be there.
Right.
Third, I think it's good for college football that we're like the bad guy in wrestling. You either love us or you're going to show up because you hate us. You want to see us. So with that being said, I don't know if we're completely out of the picture. I think they would sit. I think Young would need to sit anyway because, like I said, I still don't think something's right about his shoulder. Anderson, who knows? I mean, I've seen it happen in a bowl game where players have had that injury, and you hate it for them. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'd love to be able to put on the Crimson and go play one more. It looks like if we don't get picked in it, depending on what all happens this weekend, we'll be going to the Sugar Bowl, probably playing Kansas State. That's one of the things I've heard, one of the projections.
Yeah,
but I think
that's more than likely what's going to happen. We're going to end up in the Sugar Bowl. Look, man, I don't think Bryce is completely healthy, so it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for him to play in a bowl game. But, man, Will Anderson, I'd be shocked and really disappointed in him based on comments he's made and how he's played and what he's meant to the university 3 years. And if he doesn't play in a bowl game, and I'll be shocked.
Well, y'all just mentioned a ton of defensive players that'll be this will be it. So what about them? Are they going to play? Are they going to opt out because they don't want to get hurt too? So then you're looking at basically a whole new defense that would be playing in a bowl game if everybody's looking out for themselves. I do have a problem, since money is part of the equation now. Hey, bro, you took some of that NIL money. That should mean
right.
that you're obligated to play.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my 2 cents on it.
And maybe speaking of that, if it's not in some of that writing, that fine, small print, maybe that needs to be in there. You'll cut out all those opt-outs.
Well, let's talk real quick about the playoff aspect.
Okay.
I think the only shot we have of getting in is if both TCU and USC lose.
It's the only way.
Because I was looking at some things that make sense. I was reading some stuff earlier. Yes, 2 losses, combined 4 points. At the time, top 10 teams, both on the road, both last second. But look at what are our good wins? You know,
We don't.
we don't have any true good wins. We beat Texas, they lost 4 games. We beat Ole Miss, they lost 4 games.
Right.
You know,
Mississippi State.
we beat Mississippi State,
Lost 4 games.
they lost at least
Well,
4 games.
Look, we've got this. We've got the
Strength of
strength
schedule.
of schedule. I don't know how
Yep.
that's calculated, but we do have the strongest strength of schedule.
I,
But
you know,
I would say our only chance of getting in the playoff is going to determine where we are tonight at the end of. that
We'll be
show.
6 tonight.
Right, but not, and I think we should be there, but if for whatever reason we're 5th, then there is an outstanding chance we get in.
agreed.
But if we're at 6th, I don't think it matters if TCU and USC loses.
I think if
If
TCU,
we're at 6th.
I
we're
think
not-
if
we're
both
not
of them
getting in.
lose, I think if both of them lose, we have a chance. Well, I don't see us being at number 5. They're talking about the Ohio State loss being bad and at home, yes. But it's one loss. They dominated pretty much all season long. They have wins over
Against-
Penn State.
Against a very overrated Big Ten
But I
conference.
think that our only chance to get in the playoffs is for us to be 5th tonight. And
Yeah,
I-
we,
and
I
I-
don't
Yeah.
think we'll be good.
And then we won't be, so.
Six makes it more difficult. If we come in at 5th, I'm not going to
Increases
say
the
that we're
odds.
in, but you've got Utah, who has beaten USC once, K-State, who was beating TCU and gave it up in the 4th quarter. Very possible. So I would love for us to come in at 5, and I can guarantee you there'll be some teams that start shaking if we come in at 5.
So do you guys think that there's any chance LSU beats Georgia?
I mean, there's always a chance. Now, the LSU team that showed up this past Saturday won't beat them,
Of course.
but the LSU team that showed up and played us like they played us.
And played Ole Miss and
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely that team has a chance of beating Georgia.
Possibly, but Daniels has tweaked his ankle again. It is a home game for Georgia. Yeah, Georgia. Atlanta is your home, so shut up. I don't like Georgia people, and I'm from there. No offense to, you know who you are. But I was talking to my daughter. I think that there could be a chance depending on which Georgia. I watched Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech looked surprisingly good against Georgia in the first half. They by no means had the studs to keep
Right.
up with Georgia.
But they could lose and Michigan can lose. It ain't gonna matter. They're not falling out of the top 4.
No, they're
it
in.
doesn't have to be a beat down.
Even then, they're not. falling out of the top
Well,
4.
Georgia won't fall out of the top 4. It'd have to be a beat down, but I don't see Michigan getting beat in this
To
game.
Purdue. Oh my God, I looked up some of that. That shouldn't even be televised because Purdue is so bad. But yeah, our best hope is come in at 5 tonight, and you root for Utah and K-State this weekend.
Yeah.
So.
Well, a lot of things got to happen. Again, worst case scenario, I think Sugar Bowl's where we're headed. Can't be disappointed with 10-2. Chance to play in the Sugar Bowl. Chance to, work for another month, get guys more experience, get some of these younger guys some experience, and probably a lot of playing time. We'll probably have
Hey,
a
if
lot
they
of
opt out, if they opt out, that's a free spring practice.
Yeah.
For the next year.
That'd be the only
Positive, yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Right.
So still a lot of things to happen, but kind of weird for us being on the outside looking in. But maybe it's good for us. Maybe our guys get a taste of what this feels like. A little momentum for next year. Who knows?
Coming back, absolutely.
Yeah, the guys that are coming back. So we'll see. A lot of things that I look forward to kind of seeing how we respond. So anyway, guys, it's been a great year. We'll come back again once we have identified where we're going for a bowl perspective. We'll do a pre-bowl game show and a post-bowl game show. So Tide fans, join us here next time on Channel 207. We'll be in touch with you with respect to when that is and what bowl that is. More than likely the Sugar Bowl. But thanks for a great season, and we'll do it again in a few weeks. All right, roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.